Good evening, my dear friends. I welcome you all to the Hindu and the Businessline editorial analysis on September 7, 2022. I will also be referring to the Times of India special article on this topic of the selection of Elizabeth Truss, that is Mary Elizabeth Truss, as the new Prime Minister of Great Britain. The title of the articles in the Hindu are No Compromise. First article. Second article is A Trial by Fire. On the same topic, the selection of Liz Truss by the Conservatives in Britain's next prime ministerial occupant. The same topic is discussed against all odds in the Businessline. Mary Elizabeth Truss has been selected by 81,000 conservatives as their new prime minister. Rishi Sunak, who was closer on the heels to win the election, has just 40,000 plus votes. Rishi Sunak has been the chancellor. Chancellor means the finance minister, the secretary of the finance, or the finance minister in Great Britain. So, Liz Truss, who has been the foreign secretary under the Boris Johnson government, now has been selected by 81,000 plus conservatives as their prime ministerial occupant in the number 10 Downing Street. There are lots of equations which has ended with the selection of Liz Truss as the Prime Minister of Great Britain. Conservatives have been in power since 2010 in Great Britain, and within this period, between 2010 and 2022, the Conservative Party has seen 3 Prime Ministers. David Cameron was the first Prime Minister of the Conservatives, followed by Theresa May and then Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson had to resign on certain allegations regarding his mishandling the restrictions with regard to the COVID and on the immigrant issue and the Northern Ireland issue. What is the Northern Ireland issue? When England or Great Britain was opting for Brexit in 2020, Northern Ireland stood as a remainer. That is, they would remain with the European Union. Brexit is nothing but exit of Britain from the European Union. So the Northern Ireland chose to remain with the European Union and still using euro as its currency. So customs duty has to be charged on entry of goods from Northern Ireland, and the moving of goods from other parts of Great Britain to Northern Ireland is considered as export, because this is the European Union is an economic union. The union formed for transaction and trade purposes, and most of the times military purposes also. So exit of Britain from European Union has been complete by 2020. However, Northern Ireland remained. to sit with the European Union. Interestingly, Liz Truss, the present occupying Prime Minister of the Downing Street, 10 Downing Street, is has been there with the Remainers. Remainers means those who voted for remaining within the European Union. So she was against the Brexit. However, she moderated her policy later. Now, her election or selection to the Prime Minister's post by the Conservatives has to be analyzed like this. 20% of the Conservatives did not vote. So remaining 80% of the Conservatives voted, and out of which she got around 81,000 plus votes, 20,000 more than Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak is an immigrant turned politician in Britain. He was the Chancellor. Chancellor means Minister of Finance, as I said. Liz Truss was the Foreign Secretary in the Boris Johnson government. She joined the government under David Cameron as the Minister of Environment, then continued, and in the Boris Johnson government, she was the Foreign Secretary. So, she is an accountant by profession. She was born and brought up in Oxford and studied in Oxford, and then became an MP in 2010, and then later on continued her post as the minister. She has an excellent academic record. The daughter of a mathematics professor and a nurse. She always promoted mathematics, and during the run up to the selection of her as Prime Minister, both Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss had the Rwandan immigration issue at hand. Rishi Sunak was in support of deporting the migrants to Rwanda and not following the Liz Truss was in support of not following the Convention on Human Rights. That means the immigrants would be prevented from entering Britain, and most of the immigrants now would be deported devoid of any country. While Rishi Sunak was particular about Rwanda, Liz Truss was extending her immigration issue beyond the Rwanda and to almost all the countries. She was in also support of preventing the people crossing the English Channel to occupy the place in Britain. She has lots of issues at hand. Rishi Sunak was criticized for increasing the corporation tax. He had increased the corporation tax to meet the expenses of the COVID-19 treatment. And the most of the conservatives who voted for Liz Truss were thus opposing Rishi Sunak only on one issue. That is, the rising corporation tax was becoming a hindrance to the companies or the corporates in UK. Therefore, their belief is that if Liz Truss was voted to power, she would decrease the corporation taxes so that the corporates would enjoy the benefit and would have to pay less taxes. The UK is reeling under the double digit inflation. That is a cause of concern, and for the quarter ending June, the growth has been just 0.1 percentage over its previous quarter, and rising energy prices are trying to reduce the purchasing power of people, and it is becoming unbearable to meet the cost of living in Britain. So it is expected that Liz Truss will make everything possible to reduce the energy prices along with the corporation taxes. These are the aims with the objective with which the elite of the conservatives the elites of the conservatives always favor the corporation or the corporate companies, that is the ecosystem of companies. Hence, it is not a surprise that Liz Truss was preferred over Rishi Sunak. However, it can be analyzed that Rishi Sunak got the House of Commons, most of the votes from the House of Commons more than Liz Truss. However, it was the last round of elections. It can also be analyzed that Liz Truss is having only 0.5 percentage of the votes in the UK. That is the votes of the 81,000 plus conservatives, that is politicians. 99.5 percentage of the Britain is not selecting Liz Truss because it is not through the election she has been ascending to the post of Prime Minister. It is the party votes which has elected her to the post of Prime Minister. She has 1,000 more days to prove that her candidature as the Prime Minister has ended all sorts of troubles which the Boris Johnson government has been facing. Liz Truss is also credited being the third woman Prime Minister of Britain. Times of India reports that she had been an opposer of Margaret Thatcher. In her childhood days, she would run calling Maggie, 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 out, out, out. Opposing Margaret Thatcher from her early childhood days, when she grew up, she became an ardent supporter of Margaret Thatcher and an admirer of Margaret Thatcher. She is very comfortable that the seat which Margaret Thatcher occupied is now belongs to her. Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister of Britain from 1979 to 1990. Now it is the baton is passed on to Liz Truss, the sweet woman Prime Minister of Britain. Let us hope her all the best. Now, no compromise is another article from the editorial from the Hindu which points to the flaunting of the air safety regulations by the people in power, that is two MPs from BJP government visited Diodhar, the city in Jharkhand, and flouted the flight control regulations and did not obey to the flight regulations which are particular for the Diodhar airport, and coerced air traffic control to let them fly at the odd hours which they are not supposed to. The police and the air traffic control have registered cases against the MPs. The Deputy Commissioner and the police have registered FIR against the two BJP MPs. Diodhar Airport in Jharkhand is having visual flight regulations What are visual flight regulations? That is, before 20 minutes before sunrise and 20 minutes after sunrise, no flight should take off and land at the Deodar airport. The crew of the flights will have difficulties in tackling the situations but peculiar to the Deodar airport, particularly the bird hit. The bird hit is very common during the wee hours of the morning and in the wee hours of the evening. Therefore, Jharkhand is known as a land of many birds. So, the bird hit is a very popular and a very common feature in Deodar airport. Suppose the crew are not able to manage the flight the flight operations during the bird hit, there would not be any support because under the visual flight regulations in the Deodar airport, it is not possible to fly between 6 o'clock and 6:20, and the flight took off at 6:17. This is a gross violation of the regulations. So, why these people are doing the violation of the flight control regulations and air safety, pushing the safety norms to the brink of violating only because their ego was satisfying is not a good thing. The politics should be set apart and should be attempted at ensuring that flight control regulations and air safety are clearly followed. This is what the editorial is saying under the title No Compromise. That is, no compromise on flight control regulations and air safety. Many places it has been seen that in many airports it has been seen that air safety controls are never given heed to. This is a very pathetic situation. Friends, I hope you enjoyed the analysis today. I will come tomorrow with some more topics like this. Till then, take care. Bye. See you.